What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Bronx Pinstripes show. Currently, it is the top of the ninth inning, and the Yankees are blowing the Red Sox out. And I find it very ironic, Scott, that a year ago, the day before the All-Star game, we said, you know what? Let's start the pod a little early.
Now I know why you wanted to do this.
I also have a commitment at 6 o'clock, and it is 5:02 in the afternoon. But you know what the difference is? The 2022 Yankees are not the 2020 Yankees, number one. And number two, I think I'm calling the Red Sox done. I think I'm calling them dead. The fact that it's the All-Star break now and they didn't win a single series against an American League East opponent, I don't see it working out for the Sox this year.
No, they just lost Chris Sale today with a was it dislocated? Is that what the final was?
I don't know. I was only watching so I don't know that they gave an update on Sale. Fractured.
It is fractured? Okay,
Yikes.
yeah. They're toast. They have no pitching. They needed Chris Sale to come back and be, Chris Sale, and now that's done. So yes, the Red Sox are buried at this point. They're buried in the AL East. It's not just the Yankees. So this isn't even just the Yankees as a Yankees fan saying the Sox are dead. That's it. They can't beat the Rays, the Orioles, or the Toronto Blue Jays. So they're done. It's mathematically very difficult for them to do anything unless they sneak into that wild card spot.
So the number one thing in the second half that I'm rooting for is the Yankees to continue to win games and win the number one seed. The number two thing I'm rooting for is the Orioles to overtake the Red Sox in the American League East.
Here's the shit kicker, and this is what I was talking about a couple episodes ago when I was talking about how kind of wasting this run that they're doing. Okay, the Red Sox are all but screwed, all but buried. They have no chance in hell. Actually, they're only a game and a half out of the last wild card spot. So
no, I know the second wild card spot makes everything different. It makes a lot of teams that otherwise would not be in the playoff race in the playoff race.
Yeah, you can have a terrible, terrible stretch and not a good team and still have hope to get into this, into the tournament, as they say. So, while they're certainly buried in the AL East, they're still alive in the playoffs. Well, the playoff picture, they're still alive, like very much alive.
That could also make it so there's fewer sellers, more buyers at the trade deadline, and that could drive up the prices on some guys. Now, I don't know. Like, are the Red Sox going to be buyers at the deadline? They're kind of in a position where they might just have to tread water, and if it works out, it works out, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. That's the worst place to be, right? Like in the middle, not knowing what to do. And I think there's probably a lot of teams who are hovering around those wild card spots that don't know exactly what to do, because if the standings say you're only a couple games out of a playoff spot and you trade away assets at the deadline, your fans have a right to be pissed. They have a right to look at it and be like, well, what are we doing here if you're not trying to make the playoffs?
In the American League, there are legitimately 7 teams that are going to be vying for that wild card spot or the AL Central title.
Okay, what are the 7 teams?
Tampa, Seattle, who's white hot right now. They've won 13 in a row, depending on what's happening today, Sunday. Toronto, Boston, Cleveland, the Baltimore Orioles, and the Chicago White Sox.
All of those teams,
and I have Texas, who 7 games out of that last is the line. I have them dead. I have the Angels dead. I have Detroit dead, KC, and Oakland.
So I don't think Baltimore is going to be a seller a buyer. And I also don't see them like trading away Trey Mancini or anything along those lines. So you kind of got to put them aside. The rest of those teams, Toronto, Boston, the White Sox, and Seattle, all of those teams have a better argument to buy than sell at the deadline.
No doubt. If you're this, they have talent. All of those teams have talent. If you are within a shot at that point, and that is exactly why this wild card spot is there, right? The wild card spot's there so that more fan bases are involved later in the season. It just relegates the regular season to be not as impactful.
But if you get the number one seed, you get that bye. You get that is.
How many times have we seen the home field advantage?
But the first round bye is now on the table.
I know. First round bye is there. Okay, we're playing 162 games that first round bye.
Well, but you don't have to get yourself into a short series where who the hell knows what could happen. You have one bad start in a short series and your season's over. You're making it so you don't have to do that.
I understand that, and I see every sport is adding playoff spots or games or something.
Yeah.
They're adding more.
Why?
To the
Why?
End. Like
Why are they
sport.
doing that? Why are they doing that?
TV ratings are up. Great. Let's just make more money. I get it. It just doesn't translate as well into baseball as it does other sports.
We've said this from the start.
Season.
We said that from the start. Like, if you're going to still have the season be 162 games, you can't have more than half the league make the playoffs. It's stupid. It neuters the regular season. The regular season is so long as it is. There's so few times that the regular season actually matters. Like, you actually point to a regular season game. You're like, holy shit, this is a big game. I know they all count just the same. But when everyone makes the playoffs, it makes it even more of just a formality, which sucks. On the one, it does kind of suck, but it's not going.
So
back.
when you're calling the Red Sox dead, you kind of can't because of the wild card spot.
That's why I said kind of. You said they're dead and buried. I said I think they're kind of dead. I was like I dipped my toes in the water.
Yeah, I mean they're toast. They're
see, there you go. They're burnt toast. They have been under the broiler for far too long. I mean for factors other than just the standings. I don't know how you go an entire first half without winning a series against one of your division opponents. That's pretty terrible.
So if they do that, if they end up making the playoffs and making a run, and you look back at what they did in their division, it's gonna really piss me off.
Well, they would have to go on a crazy second half run.
Yeah, but it's gonna definitely piss me off.
Well, they did have a weird schedule.
Getting ready for it.
They went pretty much, I feel like, the whole month of May without playing American League East teams, and they played a bunch of teams towards the end of June and in the beginning of July, and they've lost games. Like, I know they beat the Yankees 3 times in the last 2 weekends, but other than those 3 games, they haven't won a freaking game. They got swept by Tampa. They've been terrible.
Well, and now Chris Sale doesn't have a pinky, so.
I could see if anyone's going to pitch with 4 fingers, it's going to be Chris Sale.
Yeah, tape it to your ring finger. Does it really matter that much? Your pinky, I mean, it does hold a change up. It holds, but for the most part, doesn't do as much. So you could do without it.
So
Chris Sale could figure that out.
Where do you want to start with this weekend? What do you want to talk about first? I know my leadoff thought. What's yours?
My leadoff thought is, when we were going into what I was looking at. Number one thing I was looking at going into this weekend was how does Jameson Taillon pitch against the Boston Red Sox in this series? And we got our answer. He pitched well. And thankfully did, because he's been really in a tough stretch and he needed it badly, just for his own confidence, I think. So that was the number one thing for me looking at this series. But the offense was good, and then that was what I was looking at. But
the offense was good in the second Carpenter. 2 games. The first
Matt
game,
Carpenter took over.
Yeah, I was going to talk about Matt Carpenter. The offense was good Saturday and Sunday. Friday, the offense squandered a billion opportunities to win that game, especially late. You get the bases loaded twice, once in the 9th, no outs, once in the 10th with 1 out, and you don't scratch across a run? That's pathetic.
No, está bien. No, that's not good. That game should have been won 3 times.
That was a really bad loss.
I had tweets lined up.
Well, that's
it was that type of they're gonna win this game.
Well, you got bases loaded 9th inning in a tied game, no outs. You figure something's happening. Wild pitch, sac fly, hit by pitch. Matt Carpenter just leaning his elbow in. Man, Matt Carpenter, freaking unbelievable. Not just offensively, but just like the mentality that he brings to this team. When he just took that ball off of the elbow, like, he doesn't wear batting gloves, he doesn't wear any guards on his elbow, he doesn't need that shit. I know it was Friday night in the loss, but I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff, and I just feel like he's always been that player. He's been in the National League, so maybe we haven't noticed it as much, but I've always had that feeling towards Matt Carpenter, and that's also kind of the Cardinals vibe, right? Like, the Cardinals have always had a bunch of players like that, but I think he just brings like such a great addition off the outside of the lines, in the dugout, in the clubhouse, to this team that I think they probably desperately needed.
I don't know if they desperately needed that veteran guy coming in the way he did.
Why?
They have.
I mean, last year they didn't have it. The last couple of years,
I don't think they needed it this year.
Okay.
That piece of it as much. Okay, because they have good leadership on this team. I think that the team is grounded well, and I think re-signing Rizzo was a big piece of that. Judge, I think, has taken a big step in his own clubhouse. You lose a guy like Gardy from last year. Yeah, who's the gray hair on the team? Who's the guy that's gonna be doing? Well, now they got one. It's fine. But I think the biggest thing for him is that he's coming in with nothing, practically everything to lose, but also at the same time nothing to lose, because if he doesn't do this, he's out of baseball, which he thought he was going to be out of baseball anyway. So in one hand, you could say he's got everything to lose, and in one hand, you could say he's got nothing to lose. But he's dangerous, and he found it. He's an old school throwback, like you said, rub some dirt between your hands, pick it up, wipe it off, get the good grip on the bat, and just throw the bat head at the ball. He doesn't do a lot. They were talking about it today. O'Neill was breaking down his swing about how simplified it's gotten, and it's pure and it's fast. He does generate a hell of a lot of bat speed. It wouldn't surprise me if he was using one of the heaviest bats in the league. Kind of looks like he is. It would fit the bill if he was. But man, does he just throw that barrel, and he makes beautiful contact, and it does it. And it's quick. It's quick, but it's simple. It's fun to watch. He is fun to watch. One of my best tweets of the year was Jesus was a carpenter. I'm very happy with that one.
Today I posted that isn't it crazy, guys, that Tino Martinez once wore Matt Carpenter's number?
I thought you were going to say Nick Swisher.
Nick Swisher didn't wear 24.
Oh no, I was watching. Never mind. Brain fart. Who's wearing 33 right now?
Tim LeCastro.
That's right.
Yeah, Tim. No.
I just saw 33, and I was scrolling through the MLB app, and I put on last night for way too long. They have this like home run derby X that's going on in London right now, or they did over the weekend or whenever they did it, and I was watching Swisher just be so excited with this team of people that nobody has any idea who they are, and he's just so fired up. They won the whole thing, and he's like bringing everybody into the huddle, like, you know, giving like a World Series speech to them. The guy is over the top, unbelievable. And so sorry, that was 33 was stuck in my head right there.
I would say that it's fake enthusiasm from Swisher, but I've never seen him
it's
be anything different. So maybe he's just always at 100, but hey, that means it's not fake. The numbers with Carpenter are silly. Just absolutely stupid silly. The 2 homers on Saturday, had another massive hit on Sunday with the bases loaded. Before today's game, his WRC plus was at 285, so it's probably closer to 290, a little over, sniffing 300. What a 300 WRC plus means is he has been 300% better than the league average player. Okay? Not
clearly
100%, not 200%. It's insane. It's insane.
So Boone was they were talking about Boone on the broadcast, I think yesterday. And, you know, at this point, you just have to put him out there in the outfield and figure it out. He referred to it as rip the Band-Aid off. And he's right. That's what you do. You put him in the outfield and you figure it out. He'll be fine. He's a baseball player. He's a man. The guy, you can't hurt him. He's going to go out there and he's going to figure out how to play the outfield at an average level. He's not going to do anything spectacular, and we just hope that he doesn't do anything that hurts you. But he'll be fundamental, and he'll go out there, and he'll continue to swing that big-ass lumbering bat as long as he does, and you keep him out there. You give him some days off because he's 36 years old.
Right,
that's the gray hair on the team. But you got to put him out there because the bat's too damn good right now. It's too damn good to deny. And Joey Gallo, I'm happy for you. You got a home run today in a meaningless game. Great. It meant nothing. Like, the pitcher literally hit the spot that your bat was swinging. So congratulations.
But he really needed it. You know, according to Michael K. Oh, did he need that? Every time Joey Gallo has hit a home run this year, which I believe that was his 10th or 11th home run.
That was his 11th.
11th?
We had
So he's hit 11 home runs. 11 times Michael K. has said, oh, did he really need that one?
Well, it's true. You know, he needed the pitcher to hit that spot. That's what he needed. He needed the pitcher to hit that spot because the bat just goes to the same place. I mean, look, you can't be on the team anymore. I don't know what else to say.
Well,
you just can't. I don't care if you hit a home run.
This is what they're going to have to do with Gallo. It's over the next 2 weeks before the deadline. See if someone will take any of that contract, any of it, 2% of it, bye, see ya. Here's an Uber to the airport. And if not, you have to waive him. Because right now, you called up Tim LeCastro, and he had an awesome game today. And he can steal bases with the best of them. And he can play elite level defense. And you know what? He doesn't strike out every time he's up. Good enough for me.
Nope.
Good enough for
me. Exactly. You're Tim LeCastro is the last guy on the bench. Could go out there, play good defense, steal bases. Yeah, absolutely. Give me that guy.
And if you do play Matt Carpenter more in the outfield, guess what? Anytime it's a close game late or they have a lead, you got Tim LeCastro to come in and play defense for him. Matt Carpenter plays 6 innings. They've got a lead. Here you go, buddy. Here's Tim LeCastro. Joey Gallo has absolutely no role on this team.
No, he doesn't. He's got no role. He's got no role. So I don't know. I don't want to see him on the team for too much longer. I think you're right. I think that's exactly what they have to do. He has to find something. If he can find any landing spot, you give it. But make it part of something. If as a throw-in, part of a deal if possible. But if he can do that, like kudos to Brian Cashman. I'm gonna isolate that one and just give him props for doing that if he can figure that one out too.
Well, you got to ship a prospect with it. Here's a prospect for the $4 million that you're basically paying for a prospect, whatever.
So Ilya, what was the trade that we did? Because it's exactly what's going to happen. Something exactly like that. It was exactly what we do.
No, but that's what you do. That's basically you're offloading half of his contract or whatever. So you can then go out and either get an outfielder, definitely need some starting pitching, relief pitching help. I do think it is. So it's risky in the sense, I was going to say it's risky to just rely on Matt Carpenter and Tim LeCastro in the outfield. It's only risky in the sense that Matt Carpenter is old and who knows how long this is going to last. It's not risky like, oh, you could possibly be losing out on what Joey Gallo could provide you because he doesn't provide you anything. We've learned that. So I do still think they need to have a plan in the outfield that isn't Matt Carpenter starting most of the days. But for the time being, until you figure that out, Matt Carpenter goes out there and starts. And he might wear down, right? That's a very real possibility because of his age.
I mean, he probably will.
He definitely will.
Yeah, so you have to. I said this. I still believe this. Another outfielder is still needed as an everyday guy, and you can get Carpenter because Carpenter's going to be rotating into that DH spot too. He can go into other places. Like I still want them to go after a Benintendi type.
Sure.
If it's not him, it's someone like that. I want that to happen because either way, it's just Gallo. It's purely Gallo has no place on this team because of the type of player he is. You add someone in that's more complimentary, absolutely. Then you can justify him, someone else getting time out there for Matt Carpenter. It's not realistic to play Matt Carpenter every day for the second half. It's not.
Especially because the rest of your outfielders aren't necessarily the most durable outfielders with Stanton and Hicks and even Judge. I know Judge has been healthy the last 2 years, but none of those guys you can say with certainty, are going to be there for the rest of the year with no injuries. So yeah, you definitely need another outfielder. But right now,
overcompensate at the deadline. You overcompensate at the deadline, at this particular deadline, because of the importance of this season.
And you mentioned Taillon. So I was looking at his game logs. After his start on June 2nd against the Angels, in which he pitched 8 innings and only gave up 1 run, that was the game he took a no-hitter into deep. His ERA was 2.30 after that game. Then over his next series of games leading up to July 10th, last weekend against the Red Sox, his ERA ballooned to 4.02. So from 2.3 all the way to 4.01. I said 4.02 for some reason. 4.01. So he did really, really need that good start on Saturday heading into the All-Star break.
Yeah, no doubt. And again, this happened to him last year. He went through a tough stretch and he refound it. And I'm not looking at anything else besides Jameson Taillon getting back to his good mechanics, because I think that's really what it is. When you see a guy like this who struggles, a lot of his struggles have come with location issues, and to me that boils down to his mechanics. If he's locating that fastball and working off of it, good things happen from him. And that's what we saw in this last start. He was in command of the at bats. he was much more comfortable. So if it's finding that release point, if it's finding some mechanical flaw that went awry and they've, identified it, maybe it was just a good start that he can carry some momentum. I don't care what it was, but there was nothing drastically different that he did. He just went out and executed. And it was great to see, because it means to me that a guy like Jameson Taillon, who has, durability issues for very, very clear, obvious reasons. He hasn't done this for a long time, but you need a guy like that to rebound. It's like a team when you see struggling, you need to see them rebound so they see how they can handle it. And so now I would love for him to be able to put together a stretch of good starts and just prove that it was a hiccup.
Yeah, because he was so good in May. Him and Cortez really backed up that rotation, while Cole even wasn't necessarily on the top of his game. So I know your bold prediction said 15 wins, right? What was the ERA? 3.3? 3.3. Yeah. He's got 10 wins, close. Even if you do care about wins anymore. So he has a nice amount of wins at the All-Star break. His ERA is now 3.86 after that good start. And I don't know if he's going to necessarily be the number 2 behind Cole, but for a while he was. For a good portion of the first half he was.
Yeah, I mean it's not a crazy thought. He's got the ability to be that. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens after the All-Star break. See if he can get another or just some momentum with his starts. I really believe it's just a matter of bringing those mechanics back to his good spot and just getting out of whatever mechanical flaws that he was in, because I think that he just found it was a rut. Pitchers can go through slumps too, and I think that's what we're looking at.
So today's game, Sunday, started off. I got the popcorn ready as soon as that ball went inside to Devers. It's exactly what Cole needed to do to set the tone. What was your reaction to him knocking Devers down?
Yeah, command this is the type of, you got to be a little bit of an asshole when you're a pitcher. All right, dial up your Josh Donaldson, and I hope this is what Donaldson does. I hope this is his impact on this clubhouse. Is he will at some point take a guy aside and look, you know what? You got to be a little bit of a dick to earn the respect and to gain the to get what you want. And I think that Cole has a little bit of a nice guy thing going on behind the scenes, and I need him to end that.
You do?
I think he's like he's a little bit of a nice. Yeah, he's like he talks in his Kermit voice, and he doesn't.
To the media, definitely a nice guy. To the media, absolutely a nice guy. You think
I need him to have a little bit more of an edge, and I think maybe it's just because we're here and I see him too much, and I don't see the edge as much as I want to see it. In this specific case, like there was no edge with Rafael Devers at all. You had no edge.
Well, that's
at
true.
All.
That's true.
You need to get that back. You need to gain the upper hand at that again, and by throwing inside, by controlling the inside of that plate as much as you can, you look to accomplish that. So I appreciate it.
And it was also after Devers took Montgomery and took Taillon deep to start the series. And I'm sitting there like, okay, every Yankees pitcher just going to keep pitching to this guy, and he's just going to keep hitting home runs. I guess that's what we're going to do. It was like freaking David Ortiz all over again. How many freaking times is the same guy going to beat you? Obviously, Devers is an MVP type player. David Ortiz is a now Hall of Famer. So fine. You're not letting, the last scrub on the bench beat you time after time. It's still frustrating all the same when it keeps happening. But with Cole being a nice guy or not having an edge, if anything, he's like almost too on edge at sometimes. And I think that can also get to him and be a negative when he's pitching, because he's maybe too amped up or lets things get in his head because it's not going exactly how he thought it was going to go. And if something is slightly off, I know I keep joking about the Billy Crystal thing, but it's more about the fact that the game started like 5 minutes later and he couldn't freaking handle it. That's the point here. Too on edge, dude. It's okay. It's 5 minutes.
So if I'm a batter and I see that type of thing in the opposing pitcher, that guy's not intimidating me. Because I know he's his
own worst enemy
at some point. There's something there that's just like, he could lose it at any moment. I don't know what it is. I can't describe exactly what I'm trying to say here because I don't think I'm doing it very clearly. But Josh Donaldson, when I see the two of them, Josh Donaldson has an edge. There's no doubt about it. Like
you might say too much of an edge.
But he's had it forever.
Yeah.
He's always had it. He's always been that guy that's had a bit of an edge. And Cole, while in Houston, I'd say had a little bit of that as well. So maybe it's just
but he
we're too
didn't
close
have to
to
be
the
the guy.
situation.
Verlander was the guy.
That's true. But we're also very close to the situation. I do hear his Kermit voice quite often now, so it's playing.
You're
in my
hung
head.
up on this Kermit voice. Like,
yeah, I
can't control his voice.
You could control the voice a little bit. Just like try, just like drop it. Yeah. Just drop it. And
I don't know. I gotta try something different with Rafael Devers.
He gets a little squeaky. And when a guy gets a little squeaky, the intimidation just isn't there as much as it would be. That's all I'm saying. It's just it's a natural reaction to something that you hear. But when you throw and you have the ability and the talent and all of the arm strength that a guy like Garrett Cole does, and when on is one of the best pitchers of the planet, you can then enforce your will when you want to. And I think he should do that more often. You see a lot of this goes back to the Roger Clemens conversation that happened a couple Sundays ago when I was watching. Roger Clemens owned the inside of the plate. You knew Roger Clemens had an edge. You did not mess with Roger Clemens. You knew that.
Roger Clemens had something else too.
Yeah, well, you knew that. Well, you know what? That's the type of edge I want from my starting pitcher, from my horse. I want you to go out there, and I want the other team to know damn well that they cannot beat you. Right. And if they do, it's a tip of the cap. But Rafael Devers is walking into that box like, I own you. You can do nothing against me. So he needs to sit. That situation needs to be flipped.
You want the pitcher to have an edge, as if 7 pounds of Russian steroids are coursing through their veins.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Got it. What Cole did in the first inning, knocking Devers down, didn't throw at his head, didn't throw at his neck, threw low towards the. I saw some people saying, "Oh, he threw at his knees." Like, chill. No, it was to move his feet, to get him off the plate, to knock him down, to make it so he's not sitting there in the box like, I'm going to hit this to the freaking black, okay? Because that's what Rafael Devers did every time he stepped into the box against Garrett Cole. And that can't happen. That cannot be the case when you're Garrett Cole on the mound. You cannot have the opposing hitter up there knowing he's going to tee off on you. Not even
especially
thinking.
that guy. Especially that guy, because there's a history, and the history is not in the favor of the pitcher. You gotta flip it. You gotta take control back.
Definitely.
In that one-on-one matchup.
And so if you're talking about how the edge being where last weekend after Devers took him deep, he sat there and said, I made my pitch. I don't know. I'm taking suggestions on how to get this guy out. Then sure, that's a completely different mentality. I'm very happy he didn't go into this afternoon's game saying, well, all I need to do is just make my pitches and I'll get Devers out, because you've tried that and you've tried that and you've tried that and you failed.
So someone told him to throw inside. That was a suggestion, right?
Oh.
That was a suggestion.
Well,
Josh Donaldson's like,
was that simple?
Throw it at his head.
Do you think,
throw it at his head, and nice guy Garrett Cole threw it at his knees.
Do you think some would argue that throwing at a guy's knees is worse than throwing at a guy's head? Do you think that it was
one turns off the lights, one makes you limp?
Do you think that it was that simple? Like they had a conversation like you have to throw inside on him? Or do you think it's Cole just like obviously knowing he needs to throw inside, but maybe being stubborn with the fact that I can get this guy out with my pitches. I know I can get this guy out with my pitches, and now he just had to try something different.
I do hope it. I don't care how he got to it, but I hope that Cole, walking into that at bat, knew that he had to get Devers off the plate. And if he, maybe there was something, if he saw Devers crowd the plate a little bit more than he normally does, or whatever it was, if he saw a particular thing, he's gonna brush that guy back. So
well, you know what?
I don't care how he got to the resolution. That's why teammates are there. That's why you don't have to do this all by yourself. He got to that point, and he did what he needed to do. It's fine. It's part of the game.
That was ace shit. Okay, like I don't say this lightly, because he saw Devers take Montgomery deep on Friday, Taillon deep on Saturday, and now here he is, first inning. He's up against me. I gotta pull some ace shit right here. I cannot let him take me deep, because that is embarrassing. If he takes you deep right there, if Devers took Cole deep, that would be embarrassing.
Correct. He had to establish his dominance in that moment. Again, get back the upper hand. And that was his way of starting to do that. So it worked. Whether that's what worked, it worked. It doesn't matter if that was the reason. The result worked. The result is there for us to look at and say, yes, that worked. Good job.
And if you do want to make any out of other things, make a big deal out of other things. Higgy caught cold today for the first time since May 8th. I think it was just that Trevino was going to the All-Star game and he wanted to get him an extra day off. But hey, could be something else.
Why does he need an extra day off? He's about to have plenty of days off. Even though he's going to be in the All-Star game.
Because he's a catcher and he's going to be traveling and he's probably never played this much starting catcher in his life. I don't know.
Yeah. Or maybe I'm surprised you're going away from your own theory.
Don't
you want it?
The fact
Don't you
that
want it?
the fact that I am not sitting here telling you, well, Cole only likes throwing to the backup catcher. He can't throw to an all-star catcher. He has to throw to a backup catcher. The moment Jose Trevino got voted into the all-star game, Garrett Cole didn't like him anymore. He's too big. He's too big for me. I need someone humble.
Well, maybe that's also goes back to the relationship that he and Higgy have, in the sense that Higgy knew that he had to establish this.
Fastball, wiggle finger, in.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, or type it on your little...
That's true. There's no signals anymore. Siri voice. Fastball at his knees. What's the button for that? Chapman. How you feeling about Chapman in the middle innings? Did you listen?
He needs some days off. I was ready for him to okay, Chappie, here we go, Chappie. Let's own the 7th. Let's own the 7th. Couldn't even get it out of my mouth before he did not own the 7th.
Boom. So did you listen to it all? I was listening to the Fox pregame before Saturday's game. I don't know if you had it on.
I don't remember I think it. No, I did not. The pregame, I did not. Listen to it.
It was 10 minutes before the game or whatever. Frank Thomas was talking about Chapman.
Yeah.
And Frank, did you hear this?
No, but I've heard Frank Thomas in the booth, and he is not great.
So they asked,
or in the studio.
Frank Thomas was asked, "Are you worried about the Yankees pitching staff?" And he said, "No, I'm not worried at all, but I am worried because." So that was like a direct quote. He said, "I'm not worried, but here's why I'm worried." He said Chapman does not look comfortable in any inning but the 9th inning, so he suggested the Yankees try and trade him to someone who will pitch him in the 9th inning so Chapman can get comfortable again. And I was okay. In what world is a team? If you're a contending team, you likely already have a 9th inning guy. And if you don't, I don't know that you're going out and getting Chapman, who looks like dog shit right now.
This was Frank Thomas's take.
This is Frank Thomas, the big hurt.
Yeah. That's an interesting.
I'm just relaying the information.
I mean, I don't know. There's no scenario here that makes any sense.
There's no scenario.
If he were good and were able to pitch the 9th inning, he would be doing it here. And if he were good and had to pitch somewhere else, he would be doing it here.
Do you think
so they're just like, oh, he's bad, so we're gonna trade him? So the other team is like, oh yeah, bad guy.
No, he pulled a Twitter baseball GM move where every other team will take our garbage and we'll get their top players for our garbage.
Yeah.
Do you think though? I mean, his overall point was that Chapman. One of the reasons he's struggling is because he's not comfortable pitching in any inning but the 9th inning.
I don't want to hear that.
Well,
I don't
so like, how much of this do you think that this is like a psyche thing and Chapman legitimately cannot pitch in non-9th inning scenarios, or is he just done, old, hasn't figured it out, mechanical, all of the above, right? Like, this is not just a 9th inning problem.
No, this is not a 9th inning problem. I don't even think this is remotely close to when he's pitching and why the problem is. I think it's 1,000% mechanical. I think that as he's getting older and later in his career, it's hard for him to repeat the mechanics. I think that's a very real thing for him. And it was, who was talking about this? Again, I think I'm going back to this Roger Clemens interview because it was very insightful.
Your boy.
He's right. He's talking about Chapman. Chapman's not a pitcher. He's a thrower. He goes out there and throws.
He said that?
And yes, he did. He straight up said,
we gotta get Roger calling some more games.
Yeah, it's good. He's real. He's just saying things that are actual facts. It's fine. But we can believe him when he's talking about the baseball and pitching and the things that he's very good at, whether he's on steroids or not. That means nothing at that point. But he's right. And if you don't have the touch and the feel of a pitcher, you're purely going on, okay, I have my mechanics. I'm repeating the same thing I do every time, and I'm going that way. My energy is going towards home plate, and my mechanics will take care of the rest. If you are off in any way, A guy like that who throws as hard as he does has a pretty long mechanical delivery as well. Like it's just very difficult to get it back, I think. And for him, as he's getting older, I think it's harder and harder for him to repeat. So that's why you see so much. You don't see a lot of consistency. Even when he's good, you don't see a ton of consistency. We saw a lot of luck earlier in the year because a lot of balls were still getting hit. A lot of things were happening. He was not sharp. And to me, that goes back to mechanics.
Right. So now so I don't know what they do with him in the second half. I mean, you put him in a high leverage spot on Friday night. I know it was not the 9th inning, but it was still a high leverage spot, and it potentially cost you the game. So what do you do?
I mean, I still think they need to continue to roll him out in these spots and try to get him comfortable, try to work through these issues. And if they are mechanical, he's just going to need time to get it down. And hopefully you hope for the best, because there's no value there to get rid of him in a trade situation. You're just not going to get anything
unlike
there.
Gallo, there is actual value for Chapman figuring it out and pitching for you.
For sure. Agreed. And you have more wiggle room. He doesn't need to play every day. You can get this guy right in a bullpen session, multiple times a week as well, and not even pitch him or throw him in scenarios that don't hurt you as much. So you have wiggle room to get him right while he's still on the roster. And yes, if you can get him right, he's got the ability to be a very big help.
When did they signed him after the 16 season, right?
It was after they traded him.
No, I know, and then he went to the Cubs, and then he came back and signed. So I'm looking. He signed the. He signed that extension, right? Was that extension?
Yeah, this is it. This is the last.
No, I know
year
this is. I know this is the last year, but
what are you looking for?
My point was that when they signed him before the 17 season, I actually remember talking on the show about how, if you get to 2020 and he's still elite, it's kind of probably a win because his fastball is going to diminish. But even though right now it doesn't look great and he's had plenty of struggles over the past couple seasons, by and large, he's been an effective pitcher for them. So
absolutely. I think there's no judgment on the contract. We have to look in the moment. That's it. That contract is a totally different conversation as far as, what Aroldis Chapman means and has meant to this team with his time here. But when you're in the right now, and his fastball really hasn't diminished all that much. When he's on, like, he's still throwing 100 plus.
He has
everything he needs.
He doesn't get it over 100 often.
He has what he needs. The problem is that he can't throw it over the plate. Because if it were 98, 99, it could still be effective. He just can't locate it.
It's also not.
And the slider's it's average.
It's slider's average. The fastball doesn't move a whole hell of a lot. And when it does move, it's nowhere close to the zone. And
the league caught up to him.
He's no longer the only guy throwing 100. That's also a thing.
That's been the case for quite some time. But yes, it's
even more.
The league is a fastball hitting league. Like, it doesn't matter. You could throw 105 and people are still going to hit.
But it's even more of a factor now. Like, you've got Clay Holmes and Michael King throwing 99, 100 with crazy sinking movement. Action. Like, yeah. Like, it's different than it was 5 years ago.
Definitely. That's the biggest difference. Is the hard throwing guys right now are also throwing with a lot of movement. Sinkers at 101 at your ankles.
Except for that one outing against the Reds, Clay Holmes' ball actually moves and is a strike.
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy.
So it is the All-Star break, and we've got a lot of episodes planned for this week. We are, obviously this one, it's out on Monday. We're going to be recording our midseason grades and awards episode on Monday. That will be released on Tuesday. And then we're recording with Jeff Blum and David Tuttle from Bleacher Blums. Jeff Blum is color commentator for the Astros, and David Tuttle is a former college baseball player. He's a Giants fan. Those two guys were actually on the pod last year, but we're going to be recording ahead of the Astros doubleheader because the Yankees and Astros are still going to be battling for the number one spot in the American League in the second half. So that will come out likely on Wednesday. But before then, we've got the Home Run Derby and the All-Star Game. So you know what? Let's use WynnBET to bet on this stuff. WynnBET is now live in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Louisiana, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Tennessee, and Virginia. They're bringing the excitement of Wynn Las Vegas to online sports betting and casino play. From boosted same-game parlays to live in-game odds on every major sport, WynnBET has what you need to win. Sign up today to receive a special offer. Bet $50 and win $200. Use code XBlueWire. Download BetWin. Download the WynnBET app now or visit wynnbet.com to start winning. Scott, you gonna throw some cash on the home run derby or the All-Star game? I feel like you gotta be kind of a lunatic to bet on the All-Star game.
Yeah, I mean the American League wins all the time, don't they? Isn't the American League have a tremendous?
Well, they're also plus.
They're not favored.
They're also plus 105.
Yeah, I'm taking it. I'm taking the American League. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, it's
I would much rather. I would much rather
sure.
bet on the Derby. The Derby's more fun to bet on.
That is fun. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like betting on a horse race, and the odds are pretty good. I like the odds in here. So I have my eye on someone at the home run.
So let me run down the odds on the Derby. So Alonso, defending back-to-back champion, is plus 200. Schwarber's plus 330. Soto plus 600. That's some fun value, especially I feel like Soto now. The fact that Juan Soto said no to almost $500 million. Imagine someone said, "We will pay you $440 million. It's better for my argument here. We will pay you $500 million." And you look that person in the face and say, "No, thanks." Imagine.
23 years old.
Acuna plus 600, Seager plus 900, Julio Rodriguez plus 1,000, Jose Ramirez, your boy, plus 1,600, and the man of the hour himself, Albert Pujols, plus 2,200. I feel like he needs to be plus 22 million because Albert Pujols ain't hitting one home run, never mind winning the home run derby.
What are you talking about? Are you crazy?
He's going to be so gassed, okay? He'll hit 3 and be sweating his ass off gassed.
Albert Pujols knows that you don't need to use all of your energy in the Derby to be effective. You actually need to conserve. So you don't need to be the youngest guy in the world to win this thing. You don't. I mean, Albert Pujols is a crafty veteran. I could see him going out there and taking someone out. Do I think he's going to win it? No, but I don't think he's going to bomb it. I think he's going to do just fine. It's all about the stroke. It's all about just maintaining that pace, and he can absolutely do it.
So who are you betting on?
So, I mean, I guess it's not really that much of a mystery who I'm betting on. But if the odds are as they are here, I got 2 people I'd be looking at. Julio Rodriguez at plus 1,000. I think that, I mean, he absolutely has the ability to win the Derby. I think he's going to probably come out too excited, too hot, and hit a bunch of line drives because of that. He's not going to find that groove. But who I do think will find that groove, and it's a short, compact swing that could go all day long, is Jose Ramirez. And I think Jose Ramirez could very well win this Derby at plus 1,600. It's the best bet on the board.
It is.
It's the best bet on the board.
It definitely is. Schwarber, if he wasn't plus 330, I think would also be really good value. Schwarber, I just feel like has a really good swing for the Derby. But did you see that Stanton wanted to do it? And
yeah.
And they're like, if Giancarlo
was
Stanton,
that just rumors that he wanted to do it? Because
if there has to be, because if you're Giancarlo,
I thought he was in it in the beginning, and then when I looked,
right.
I was like, oh.
If Major League Baseball and you hear Giancarlo Stanton wants to be in the home run derby, you get him in the home run derby. Like, so I have to imagine that was a rumor.
I have a feeling it was all hearsay because I mean Corey Seager was added late, and he was a late add to the All-Star game period.
Right.
So.
Like, sorry Seager, we're putting Stanton in the home run derby.
And you don't actually need to be in the All-Star game,
which I think
Derby,
is stupid.
Right?
Which I think changed at some point over the years. Like, it used to be you had to be in the All-Star game. I feel like you should have to be in the All-Star game to be in the home run derby.
So the odds are also, I actually think that Ramirez he's up against Soto in the first round. So if he could take out Juan Soto in the first round, that'll be a good battle there. But then he's got the winner of Schwarber and Pujols, and to me that's clearly the weakest side of the bracket when you're looking at. I don't think Schwarber's a true 1 seed. I mean, Pete Alonso is just such a goober.
He's built to win home run derbies.
Yeah, oh, no doubt about it. He feels nothing. You would talk about a guy like, I don't care how little energy that man has. He's just going to go out there and just
he has the perfect body
stick,
for
hit ball.
He has the perfect body for home run derbies.
He's such a big goober hoser of an athlete. He's I appreciate it, but I think that Jose Ramirez has the ability to sneak into the finals real quick, and then all of a sudden you're going up against. I think Alonso is going to have a tough time with Acuna in the first round. So there could be some upsets here, but I think Jose Ramirez is in a good spot. He gets past that first round. He's a guy who got a very, very good repeatable swing. He's a baller. I could see him winning this thing.
I say this every year, but I'm much more looking forward to watching the home run derby than I am the All-Star game. I'll watch both.
The home run derby's fun. They've done a good job keeping the home run derby interesting for a long time.
I'll watch both, but if I had to pick one to watch, it would be the derby. There was a Heyman report, I guess this afternoon, that the Mets and the Yankees will be in on Juan Soto. I guess the Nationals he's on the block now because they offered him the big contract and he said no. Now listen, John Heyman, what he does is he knows what the big baseball player's name is, and then he puts the word Yankees in front of that player's name.
Or other New York team
and
with big
tweets
pockets.
it. Okay? He says, Juan Soto is going to be traded. I'm just going to put the word Yankees near it, and then I'm going to get 150,000 retweets because that's what he does every single time. Now, there are some rumors or speculation that the Nats would be requesting 4 top prospects and or major leaguers, and perhaps willingness to take Patrick Corbin's bloated contract, who is stinking up the joint, making a boatload of cash for Juan Soto.
Okay, so you got to look at this in some interesting ways. So I'm going to tie in some other sports here too, because I've been paying a little bit of attention to basketball recently and the whole Kevin Durant situation and how
You have been locked in a room for a while.
I have been locked in a room for a week. I've caught up on a lot of things, but so you look at a guy like Kevin Durant who put his he requested to be traded, and you look at a guy like Juan Soto. You're not the key thing to understand is that you're not going to get the same value back for players like that. A guy like Kevin Durant, like you could put however many players, you're not going to get the same value back because he's one of the best players on the planet. So four guys that are really, 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 really good or even very good are not going to equal one guy like that because of the way that the NBA works with how dominant one player can be and carrying a team as well. You have to look at it in the same situation here. Baseball is different in the sense that you need a hell of a lot more than just one dude. In fact, you could go to LA and look and say you need a hell of a lot more than 2 dudes to win as a baseball team. So you have to get as much as humanly back for that has the highest possible percentage of landing at some point. Now, I don't know how you qualify that. And I guess you're looking at the pipeline. You're looking at who the rankings are. The rankings are on a particular team. But then you also have to dabble into major league talent, don't you? At some point, you have to look at like who's more of a sure thing also that has a lot of controlled years that's more manageably a cost of it. So the team has to look at the value of it and how they can retain it.
So like how when the Red Sox traded Betts and got back Verdugo.
Yeah, that's a decent example. Yeah, that's actually a pretty good example. They got the value in the prospects, the value.
And it wasn't even that big of a haul of prospects because Mookie Betts was basically out the door at that point.
It was a different situation because of that, though. And Juan Soto is controlled now for 2.5 years. 2025 is when he's an unrestricted free agent. So, in fact, you could be giving up. If you're the New York Yankees and you're going after Juan Soto, as much as we were before comparing it to like, oh, well, you can't have him and Aaron Judge. Well, actually, you could. You could just – he could play under his rookie deal still or under his, into arbitration. And then you let him walk. You could do that.
Or then you have leverage to Judge in the offseason. We're saying, well, this is the contract we're offering you, and if you don't take it, we're just going to pay Juan Soto $400 million.
If you did something like this, and you look at Juan Soto and you gave up your farm because you're giving up Volpe, you're giving up Peraza, you're giving up Dominguez, you're giving up, all your international pool money, whatever you can give up, you're giving it up.
Don't forget Joey Gallo.
Joey Gallo is in there, Major League Ready talent, obviously. So you're giving up a big thing. Like, to me, like, are they going to ask for a guy like Glaber? Is that something that they would ask for?
I don't think so, because Glaber doesn't have any more team control left.
Okay. Maybe Glaber's not the right. But they're looking for a major league player as well, are they not? That's controlled. So
yeah, they would be looking for Glaber 2 years ago.
Yeah.
They would be looking for a guy who's all-star caliber player who's entering maybe his first year of arbitration.
So when you're looking at trying to trade him to a contender, I think it gets tricky unless you're just looking for minor league capital. If you're looking for minor league and prospect capital and you can make a deal within that and figure that out, then the Yankees, you're making a decision basically to go after a guy like Juan Soto, not pay him. Because I don't
See,
know.
I don't actually think that makes sense. If you're the Yankee, like, this isn't even prospect hugging. I don't think where you are right now as the New York Yankees, it would make sense to trade your top 4 prospects out of your organization for Juan Soto when you
for
could
3 years.
When you could trade for, say, Andrew Benintendi for some much lower level guys. Yeah, I don't, because your plan.
But you're not just looking at him for now.
I know, but your plan should be sign Aaron Judge. Okay, your plan should be sign Aaron Judge. So
what if you could have both?
Yeah, but I don't see them having both, because as much as we know they could, Hal Steinbrenner believes in a budget.
But that's my point. You're gambling for the next 2.5 years. You could get 3 championships out of this. If you wanted to look at what that deal was, you could. I'm just saying you could do that without actually paying him as much as for this deal.
Yeah, just be paying him arbitration.
The Nationals have realized they're not signing this guy. He turned down $500 million. We're not signing him. So I totally understand. They should trade him. They should absolutely trade him and get as much as humanly possible for him. And that time is right now, right? It's right now because you have all this control.
It's in the next 12 months.
Yeah. I mean, but you could also really get a potential overpayment because of the middle of the season trade deadline too.
I don't know if you get the overpayment for a guy like Juan Soto now or you do in the offseason, honestly.
Yeah. It's a big package, so
because like in the offseason, then you get every team involved, right? Like looking, okay, what are our plans going forward? What are the free agents? So I think
that's true.
I think you actually say, let's fast forward to the offseason, and it's December. The Yankees are negotiating with Aaron Judge, and then they decide, you know what? Let's trade prospects for Juan Soto instead of signing Aaron Judge. Like, that's a decision you can make in December. You can't make that decision as easily in July.
It's true, and you're right. The field of teams that will be involved in this is certainly more narrow. But at the same time, also they're not going to pay the premium at a trade deadline if they're not in contention.
The premiums for players at the deadline, I think the premiums are higher on pitching than they are on position players.
Yeah, but this is a generational guy that doesn't come around. So
of course.
But you're right. I think the time frame's too tight for them to work out a deal like this anyway.
Amazing. Say no to $500 million. It's unreal. I guess he's right.
I don't. Does he have any control in? I assume he has no control.
No, you don't have no trade
where he goes.
When you're at his level and his.
Yeah, there's no trade. No. Yeah,
he gets traded anywhere.
So I mean that is a real thing too. A team could look at him as a 3-year rental, a 2.5-year rental. You could, and you could look at that and say, okay, am I going to get 10 years out of this other guy or 2.5 years out of this guy? Where's the value prop there?
Yeah, but it's going to be you're still going to be paying him $20 million plus a year as arbitration. So you still have to be prepared to do that.
But it's not the long-term commitment. He's 23 years old, so
I know.
There might
not be any comparison. Like we talked about how Bryce Harper, Manny Machado were like the first of their kind, what we thought were generational talent in their mid-20s. Like now we're talking almost $500 million for Juan Soto, and I don't even know that. I don't know that that's a fair or not fair contract. Like it's just so far out of the league of anything. It's like okay, sure. Like, is he worth more? I don't know.
I'm surprised we're not looking at a deal like that where he's got the ability to front load a good amount of it. Well, I guess it wouldn't really be in the.
We don't know what the details. I don't know
to see what the details were of that deal. Yeah, because the Nationals are in no hurry to win right now. Like they don't have a roster to win right now, so you can't really front load a deal because it it doesn't make sense.
I mean, part of it was buying out arbitration, right? Like he's not going to get 400. I don't think he would get $440 million when he hits free agency, if he hits free agency.
It was like a 12 or 13 year deal, wasn't it?
Yeah, but like that's because you'd be buying out arbitration.
He's in one of these positions where if he were to get traded and then sign, he could work out a deal with a contender that is more front loaded, that has an opt out on like year 4 or 5, so that he could do this all over again. And that's what we've seen a few times. That's what we saw. Who did we see recently that had that opt out? I'm drawing a blank, but the ability to go back to free agency and to make a second massive contract. He's definitely lined
Carlos
up for that
Correa
because of his age. Correa did one, yeah, but even before that, someone else did it.
Was it JD Martinez?
JD Martinez did have it, but it was
JD did one with the Red Sox where it was like 2 years or something.
Yeah,
and then he didn't opt out.
He did not opt out. Well, because he got his iPad was taken away from him.
Was that before? I thought that was before. I thought that was after. Whatever.
He couldn't review the film right afterwards, and it screwed him. I don't know what
or
to
during
do
an
with my
at-bat.
hands.
Right.
During an at-bat.
That's gonna wrap up today's show. Thank you guys so much for listening. We've got a couple voicemails. I think people were hot after the Friday night loss. Looking forward to hearing those. But you guys can call up the voicemail line 646-480-0342. Again, we will be back at you on Tuesday with our awards and grades episode, and then again on Wednesday previewing the Astros with Jeff Blum and David Tuttle. Talk to you guys then.
Believe it or not, George isn't at home. Please leave a message at the beep. I must be out before I pick up the phone. Where could I be? Believe it or not, I'm not home.
Listen to me. I understand that we have the best record in baseball, that we're in first place by a gazillion games. I understand that. And I understand many Yankee fans are like, there's no reason to panic. I'm not panicking until we lose first place. Well, guess what? Earlier in the year, we lost a game to the Pittsburgh Pirates. And if you thought that wasn't bad enough, they're not even the worst team in the NL Central, and we dropped 2 out of 3 to them. Right. After that excruciating loss, you go into a must-win series with Boston, who hasn't beaten an American League East team in a series all year long. You drop game 1. I understand if it's a tough loss, but we had chance after chance after chance. Trevino with the bases loaded. Extra innings. I mean, come on. As a first-place team in the first half with the best record in baseball, people are saying we're going to break all sorts of records. We're going to break the Mariners record. We're going to break our own 98 record. A team to break that record does not lose these games. We do not. We take advantage of the stupid extra innings rule with the runner on second base, and we pummel our opponents into the ground. Holmes did a great job. King did a great job. Montgomery, shaky in the first inning, came back, did a good job. Peralta, our pitching is there. Where's Judge? MVP, he's lost it. Joey Gallo, fire him into the sun. Send them away. I don't care. Everybody needs to step up. I don't want to be the team that makes it to the championship series and loses it to the Astros like we have the past 4 freaking seasons.
Keep one of Volpe or Peraza. Trade the rest of the farm for Soto. Bargain bin for pitchers. Win a World Series. That is the way, Cash. That is the way.
Hello, Pinstripers. This is Eric from Syracuse. I'm leaving this message on Friday night, 11:08 p.m. during Hicks's at-bat with 2 outs in the 11th because I am pretty confident he will not come through and tie the game. Not much to say about this mess of a team right now. I guess the only comment I can make is watching this tonight, I feel like I've taken a time machine back to 2021 with all the runners left on base and just general lethargy. So, yeah, the All-Star break's going to be a great time because they got to get their heads out their asses. See ya.
The Yankees lose Oh, what a tough pill to swallow on this one. IKF once again, first pitch swinging, Jose Trevino banging into a double play when it's most not needed, and just an absolute all-around loss. But we deserve to have this loss because bases loaded, 0 outs and 1 out, and couldn't come through in 2 situations. And then we decided to pinch hit Josh Donaldson for Marwin Gonzalez, which I don't understand because Donaldson has not been playing the past couple games and is lingering with his finger injury and hasn't gotten game experience. While Marwin Gonzalez, he was already in there and warmed up a little, and he's a switch hitter, left-handed, who provides valuable experience and is a professional in this game and has been for a number of years, going back to his Astros days, throughout his tenure in Minnesota. So just an all-around painful loss, but we got to salvage the series tomorrow and Sunday to get us into a recuperable spot that will make us feel somewhat good going into the All-Star break.
All right, from the Yankee fan here in the eastern part of South Dakota, I just have to ask, why is Aroldis Chapman still allowed to play? Why does he have a jersey? Why is he on the team? He should ride shotgun, and Joey Gallo should ride both of them into some land where baseball never existed. They would both be much happier if they were in that land. Second of all, if these umpires can't figure out what a strike zone is, then they deserve to have their jobs taken by robots in 2024. Lastly, I volunteer Joey Gallo, Aroldis Chapman for a trade block for Luis Castillo. Straight up, that's a good trade for the Reds. Bye.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to the Bronx Pinstripes Show. Make sure you find us on iTunes and subscribe so you can get all new episodes directly onto your phone. If you do like the show, we'd love for you to take a minute and give us a 5-star rating and review in iTunes. It really helps us out and allows us to create more shows. We're on Twitter at Bronx Pinstripes and the same on Facebook. You can always find us there talking Yankee baseball. Thanks again, guys, for your support. Really appreciate it, and go Yankees.